The Outsider's Symphony. Ilara Chen adjusted the collar of her gray uniform as she hurried down the gleaming corridors of Nexus 7, the most advanced research station in the Orion Arm. The metallic badge on her chest caught the light, displaying her designation, Human, Medical Technician, Class 3. The classification stung every time she glanced at it, a constant reminder of her species' position in the galactic hierarchy. Overhead, the artificial lighting shifted to simulate dawn, casting a pale blue glow across the polished floors. Around her, the station was coming to life. Tall, elegant Arcanians with their silvery skin and six-fingered hands glided past without acknowledging her presence. A cluster of Vex scientists with their characteristic crystalline growths protruding from their temples huddled near a data terminal, their multifaceted eyes briefly flicking toward her before dismissing her entirely. 7 years ago, humanity had made first contact with the Galactic Conclave, an alliance of 17 advanced species that had been watching Earth for centuries. The revelation had shattered humanity's perception of its place in the universe. Instead of the warm welcome many had hoped for, Earth was classified as a developing world with potential utility. Humans were permitted to serve aboard conclave stations and outposts, but primarily in support roles, maintenance workers, food preparers, and basic medical staff. Ilara reached the medical bay and pressed her palm against the scanner. The door hissed open, revealing the pristine white laboratory where she spent 12 hours each day processing biological samples and maintaining equipment for Dr. Loriax, the station's chief cynobiologist. The Selenian doctor was already there, his translucent body pulsing with bioluminescent patterns that indicated mild irritation. "You're 3 minutes late, Technician Chen," Dr. Loriax said, not looking up from his console. His voice rippled through the air, a product of the specialized translator embedded in Ilara's ear canal. "My apologies, Doctor. There was a security check in Sector 4. She moved quickly to her workstation, activating the array of diagnostic tools that needed calibration. Dr. Loriax made a dismissive gesture with one of his tendrils. "Begin processing the samples from the Proxima expedition. I need complete cellular analyses by midday." Ilara nodded and pulled up the first sample, a strange fungal organism collected from Proxima Centauri b. As she initiated the scanning protocol, she felt a familiar tingling sensation at the base of her skull. It had started a few months ago, this strange awareness that seemed to bloom whenever she worked with alien biological material. At first, she had dismissed it as stress or imagination, but recently she'd begun to trust it. As the scan progressed, Ilara closed her eyes for a moment, letting the tingling expand. In her mind's eye, she could almost see the organism's cellular structure, not as the flat images on her screen, but as a complex, pulsating symphony. Each cellular function, each metabolic process resonated with a distinct pattern that she could somehow perceive. When she opened her eyes, she knew exactly which reagents would best preserve the sample's unique properties. It wasn't in the standard protocol, but she had learned to trust these intuitions. Dr. Loriax rarely questioned her methods because her results were consistently superior to those of her predecessors. The day proceeded normally until mid-afternoon, when the medical bay's emergency alert sounded. Dr. Loriax had been called to the administrative level, leaving Ilara alone with her work. The alert panel flashed red, indicating multiple patients incoming. The doors slid open to reveal 2 medical drones guiding a hovering stretcher. On it lay Counselor Vexer, one of the station's highest-ranking officials. The Arcanian's typically lustrous silver skin had dulled to an ashen gray, and his breathing came in labored gasps. "Status report," Ilara demanded, falling into the emergency protocols she'd been trained for. The drone's synthetic voice replied. Counselor Vexer collapsed during the diplomatic assembly. Symptoms include respiratory distress, neural dissonance, and cellular instability. 3 other officials have displayed similar symptoms within the past hour. Ilara guided the stretcher to the main diagnostic bed. "Where's Dr. Loriax?" "Attending to High Commander Zilith." You are instructed to stabilize the counselor until additional medical personnel arrive. Her heart raced. This was far beyond her authorized duties, but the counselor's condition was clearly deteriorating rapidly. She activated the advanced diagnostic scanner, which bathed Vexor in a soft green light. As the results began to display, that familiar tingling intensified at the base of her skull. Something was wrong with the scan results. According to the readouts, Counselor Vexor was experiencing massive cellular degeneration, but the pattern didn't match any known pathogen in the database. She placed her hand near the counselor's chest, not quite touching him. Direct contact with Arcanians by humans was strictly prohibited without explicit permission. The tingling exploded into a cacophony of discordant sensations. She could feel it. The counselor's biorhythms were chaotic, as if some external force had disrupted the natural harmony of his cellular functions. The pattern was familiar somehow, reminding her of the Proxima samples, she whispered. Moving quickly, Ilara pulled up the analysis she completed earlier. The fungal organism had exhibited a unique resonance frequency that affected certain energy patterns. The Arcanian physiology, with its naturally occurring bioelectric fields, would be particularly susceptible to such disruptions. She accessed the station's environmental logs and discovered that the Proxima samples had been showcased at the diplomatic assembly just before the officials fell ill. Someone had removed them from quarantine protocols prematurely. The counselor's breathing grew more labored. Ilara knew conventional treatments would be useless against this type of cellular disruption. What was needed was a counter-resonance, something to reharmonize the Arcanian's biorhythms. Drawing on her strange new sense, Ilara calibrated the medical bay's regeneration field to emit a precise frequency pattern. It was completely unorthodox, based entirely on her intuitive understanding of the disruption. If she was wrong, at best it would do nothing. At worst, it could accelerate the counselor's decline. As she activated the field, the doors slid open. Dr. Loriax entered, followed by Station Director Califar, an imposing Vex whose crystalline structures glowed with authority. Technician, what are you doing? Dr. Loriax's body flashed with patterns indicating extreme alarm. The counselor is suffering from resonance disruption caused by the Proxima fungal samples, Ilara explained quickly, standing her ground despite her racing heart. I've calibrated the regeneration field to counteract the specific frequency pattern. Silence. Director Califar's translator rendered his voice as a sharp command. Humans are not authorized to make diagnostic determinations or treatment decisions for conclave officials. But, sir, the conventional protocols won't work against this type of disruption. I can sense the pattern. You can sense it. Dr. Loriax's translucent form rippled with what Ilara recognized as contempt. Humans and their primitive intuitions. This is exactly why your species remains classified as developing. Director Califar moved to deactivate the regeneration field, but paused as the monitoring equipment began to show changes. Counselor Vexor's vital signs were stabilizing, the chaotic patterns of cellular degeneration beginning to slow. Impossible, Dr. Loriax whispered. The fungal samples emit a specific resonance that disrupts Arcanian bioelectric fields, Ilara explained, gaining confidence as the data confirmed her theory. The counterfrequency restores natural harmony to their cellular structure. I believe all affected officials should be treated with the same protocol. Director Califar studied the readings, his crystalline features unreadable. Explain how you determined this treatment, human. Ilara hesitated. How could she explain something she barely understood herself? I can perceive biorhythmic patterns. It started a few months ago. When I work with biological samples, I can sense their resonant structures, how they interact with living systems. Absurd, Dr. Loriax interjected. Humans possess no known sensory apparatus capable of detecting such phenomena. Nevertheless, Director Califar said slowly, the evidence suggests the treatment is effective. He fixed his multifaceted gaze on Ilara. You will accompany me to treat the other affected officials. If your method works, we will discuss this further. If not, you will be removed from this station permanently." As Ilara gathered the necessary equipment, she caught her reflection in a polished surface. The same gray uniform, the same demeaning badge, but something had changed. For the first time since arriving on Nexus 7, she stood straight, her eyes clear and determined. She had finally found her symphony in the stars, and the conclave would have no choice but to listen. Harmony of worlds. The emergency medical center on Nexus 7's administrative level hummed with tense activity. 3 more Arcanian officials lay on diagnostic beds, their silver skin dulled to the same ashen gray as Counselor Vexer's had been. "Ilara Chen, medical technician, Class 3, sir." "Not anymore," the counselor declared. "I propose a new classification for this human, effective immediately. Specialist Chen, Xenobiological Resonance Expert, Class 1. A murmur ran through the assembled aliens. Class 1 was typically reserved for the most senior non-conclave affiliates, a designation no human had ever held. "That exceeds standard protocol," Dr. Serix objected. "So does saving the lives of 4 conclave officials through means our own science did not predict," Counselor Vexer countered. "The conclave was founded on the principle that diverse perspectives strengthen us all. We have perhaps been too dismissive of human potential." Commander Zillith considered for a moment, then nodded. "The reclassification is approved. Specialist Chen will head a new research initiative studying this phenomenon. Director Califor, assemble a team of our finest xenobiologists to work under her direction." "Under her direction." Dr. Loriax finally spoke, his form pulsing with agitation. "Yes, doctor," the commander confirmed. "In this specific field, she is now the foremost expert in the station." As the officials dispersed to attend to various aspects of the crisis resolution, Ilara found herself alone with Dr. Loriax in a quiet corner of the medical center. "I should have noticed," he said quietly, his translator conveying unexpected regret. "Your sample analyses have been exceeding standard parameters for months. I attributed it to diligence, not perception. I didn't understand it myself until today," Ilara admitted. "It was just intuition before." "Intuition," Dr. Loriax repeated, as if testing the concept. "A characteristic my species often dismisses as primitive. Perhaps that has been our limitation." His form rippled with what Ilara now recognized as thoughtful consideration. "I would like to join your research team, if you'll have me." Ilara smiled. "I'd welcome your expertise, Doctor." 3 days later, Ilara stood before the station's full administrative council. Her gray technician's uniform had been replaced with the midnight blue of a specialist, her badge now displaying her new designation without any reference to her species. It was still there, of course. Her humanity was evident in every aspect of her appearance, but it was no longer her defining characteristic on Nexus 7. "Specialist Chen," Commander Zillith began, "your preliminary report suggests that this resonance perception ability may be latent in other humans as well." "Yes, Commander. Initial tests indicate that approximately 8% of humans possess the neurological markers that could develop into similar abilities with proper training and exposure." Counselor Vexer leaned forward. "And the applications extend beyond medical treatment." "Far beyond," Ilara confirmed. "The ability to perceive and manipulate biological resonance patterns has implications for agriculture, ecosystem management, terraforming, and even communications. Imagine interfaces controlled by biorhythmic harmonization instead of physical contact." Director Califar's crystalline structures glowed with interest. "The Conclave has overlooked a significant resource by relegating humans to support roles." "A mistake we shall remedy," declared Commander Zillith. "Specialist Chen, you are authorized to establish a human potential division within the station. Identify others of your species who show promise and develop training protocols. The Conclave wishes to explore this new frontier thoroughly." As the meeting concluded, Ilara stepped out onto one of the station's observation decks. Through the vast transparent panel, Earth was visible as a distant blue dot among countless stars. She placed her hand against the cool surface, feeling the subtle vibrations of the station, another form of resonance, mechanical rather than biological, but part of the same grand symphony. For generations, humanity had looked to the stars and wondered if they were alone. The answer had come in the form of the conclave. Advanced, aloof, and initially dismissive. But today marked a turning point. Humans would no longer be mere support staff in the cosmic community. They had found their unique voice in the Galactic chorus. And Ilara Chen, once just a technician maintaining equipment for her alien superiors, would lead the way in teaching humanity to sing its part in the harmony of worlds. Medical drones hovered around them, administering conventional treatments that were proving ineffective. In the center of it all stood Ilara, painfully aware of the suspicious glares directed her way. High Commander Zillith, the station's most senior Arcanian, observed from a command chair, his elongated fingers steepled before him. Director Califar informs me that you, a human technician, claim to have discovered the cause and cure for this affliction. Explain yourself. Ilara took a deep breath. The Proxima fungal samples brought back by the recent expedition emit a specific resonance frequency that disrupts Arcanian bioelectric fields. I've calibrated the medical systems to emit a counter frequency that restores normal cellular harmony. And how did you determine this? Counter frequency. The commander's translator conveyed his skepticism perfectly. I can perceive it, Ilara said simply. Similar to how your species can naturally sense electromagnetic fields, I've developed an ability to detect and interpret biological resonance patterns. Dr. Serix, the administration's chief medical officer, made a dismissive gesture. Impossible. Humans have no documented ability to perceive such phenomena. This is either deception or delusion. Counselor Vexar's condition has improved by 47% since the human applied her treatment. Director Califar noted, his crystalline features catching the light. That is not coincidence. A fortunate guess, Dr. Serix insisted, or perhaps the counselor's natural resilience. Enough, Commander Zillith interrupted. We have 3 more officials in critical condition. If the human's treatment shows promise, we will permit a controlled trial. He fixed his silvery gaze on Ilara. You may proceed with 1 patient. If there is improvement, you may treat the others. Ilara nodded and approached the nearest bed, where Delegate Thalen lay struggling for breath. She activated her equipment and closed her eyes, letting that strange sense expand through her consciousness. The discordant patterns were immediately apparent, the same disruption she had detected in Counselor Vexar, but further advanced. As she calibrated the regeneration field, she became aware of a subtle difference in this patient's natural biorhythm. Each Arcanian had a unique pattern, like a fingerprint or personal melody. She adjusted the counter frequency accordingly, tailoring it precisely to Delegate Thalen's unique biological signature. The field activated with a soft hum. The assembled aliens watched in tense silence as the monitoring equipment began registering changes. Within minutes, Delegate Thalen's breathing eased, and the cellular degeneration slowed measurably. Remarkable, murmured Director Califar. Commander Zillith gestured toward the other patients. Proceed. Ilara moved methodically from bed to bed, adjusting the treatment parameters for each patient. As she worked, she became aware of Dr. Loriax observing her from the doorway, his translucent form pulsing with complex emotions she couldn't fully interpret. The fungal samples should be completely contained, she said as she finished calibrating the final treatment. They emit the disruptive frequency whenever they metabolize certain compounds present in the station's atmosphere. The exhibition chamber should be sealed and decontaminated. Already done. Commander Zillith confirmed. What remains unclear is how a human medical technician possesses abilities unknown to our xenobiologists who have studied your species for decades. Ilara had been pondering this herself. I believe it may be related to my extended exposure to the station's unique environment. Humans are highly adaptable. Our nervous systems can form new neural pathways in response to novel stimuli. After years of working with alien biological samples, perhaps my brain developed new sensory capabilities. If true, this represents a significant oversight in our assessment of human potential, Director Califer noted. Dr. Serix remained unconvinced. One anomalous human does not justify reclassifying the entire species. Perhaps not, agreed Commander Zillith, but it does warrant further investigation. He turned to Ilara. You will work with our research team to document and understand this ability of yours. If other humans can develop similar capabilities, it could change your species' standing within the conclave. A commotion at the entrance drew their attention. Counselor Vexer had arrived, supported by medical drones but standing on his own. His skin had regained much of its silvery luster. Is it true? He asked, looking directly at Ilara. A human technician diagnosed and treated our condition when our own medical experts could not. Commander Zillith inclined his head slightly. It appears so, Counselor. Counselor Vexer approached Ilara, studying her with newfound interest. What is your designation, human?